this afternoon, your CCLC speakers. The very experienced and insightful Richard Mitchell, Global Head of CX Technology, and Nathian Carnall, Director of Operations, Sitel UK.
Hello, my name's Mark Dale, and I'm with Richard Mitchell from Sitel EXP Plus to hear how digital technology is transforming both the customer and employee experience. So Richard, it's great you could join us. And before we begin, maybe you can just tell us a little bit more about your background and your role at Sitel.
Sure, Mark. Thanks for inviting me. It's great to be here. I started many moons ago as a Java developer building web applications. And that really was the start for a career that saw me through the wave of CRM implementations, whether it's going from the initial days of Sitel right the way through to the end where we were implementing Salesforce.com CRM solutions. And then from there, I then progressed to process automation, which was a new growing emerging market. And we joined a small startup company focused on process automation, and then from there acquired by a company that was focused on call center technology. So we were able to enhance our skills and develop solutions for traditional contact center business, as well as our more historic areas of back office processing. And then from there, our company was acquired by Sitel, which has taken me to my current role, where I am the business owner for one of our key go-to-market functions, which is coined CX technology within the EXP Plus portfolio. And my responsibility there is across a number of different things. It's looking after the strategy and vision for our in-house developed technologies and tools. It's looking after the same for CRM and desktop applications. It's looking after our cloud telephony or omni-channel partnerships and implementations. And finally, with my history, it's also looking at automation capabilities. So that's my new role across Sitel.
Great, thanks, Richard. And I must say, you look too young to have had all that experience in such a way. So, but really, I mean, with that experience and what we're trying to do, I mean, we know that, and I'm sure our audience know that they're battling with the challenge of delivering differentiated customer experience while still trying to manage this increasing higher operating costs. A labour market that we're all feeling is red hot right now, and a workforce that since COVID has come to expect a more flexibility within the workplace. Now, how have you seen technology helping organisations and companies help to contain those costs while still providing this exceptional customer experience and attracting and retaining an engaged and effective workforce?
Yeah, it's a great question and a huge topic. One of the things I would say is that we really look at more of a holistic experience management. So that would cover your traditional customer experience, but also takes into account employee experience of suppliers and partnerships. So I think the combination of all of those gives us a more holistic view on how we engage with our customers, how we engage with all our different contacts and connects that we have within our group. And I really say that there's huge advances in technology and solutions that are coming to market. I think it's a bit of an old one, but it still rings true. Cloud has really enabled a lot of the functions that we have. So it's given us the scalability, it's given us the flexibility to be more efficient. And it's also enabled us to start to deliver more of these as a service models, whether it's integrating or creating our own from scratch. Also, access to more of this compute power and more open APIs allows us to bring more services more rapidly to market, so we can start to integrate with new tools a lot more quickly, which has knock-on benefits to our customers. And also it starts to enable us to provide more insights from the data that all of these applications are collecting, and that we're able to collect about interactions that we have. I'd also say things like new models for machine learning and natural language. Understanding natural language processing has enabled us to create new channels of interaction. So there's quite a lot of a talk around voice bots and chat bots. And then underlying that is the ability to make more informed, better decisions and more complex decisions, because we're able to move from straightforward if then else type rules to more machine learning predictive modeling type decisions. One of the last things then is then also this new greater focus on security and security models across each of these areas, which has really fueled that work from anywhere movement. And that shift has seen a complete shift in the way that we engage our employees as well. It's not only enabled us to offer a solution that benefits our employees, but it's also given us access to a greater talent pool as well, so that we can build our team from a wider scope. I think all of that at the moment now then presents a challenge of one of really of convergence. So it's one that a lot of our tools and our partners are looking at, but also it's the problem that we really have of how to integrate all these solutions and how these will all converge to give a singular best experience for the employee, for the customer, the partner, and the supplier. So that's really where our main focus is now, is around that convergence of the market, of how we can generate benefits from an end experience perspective.
And I think picking up on that convergence message, and I know our experience previously has been a lot around the back office as well. We're hearing more around this benefits of the combination of the front, middle, and back office. So trying to remove completely those silos of the old way of operating to create this one office style approach to customer experience. What's your view on this and how it can be achieved, and the sort of benefits that can really realize?
Yep. So yes, coming from the history where we had from an automation perspective, we were very much focused on back office processes. The linear benefits that we had really scaled well for those type. Our shift then from our Sitel acquisition has then enabled us to look at those front office processes as well in conjunction. What we tend to then now focus really is more on that customer experience and the customer journey, because then that will define all the processes that are aligned with that end-to-end customer experience, which will naturally bring in the sort of orchestration type scenarios, the billing type scenarios, the order fulfillment and the shipping type scenarios. So naturally we will focus on all of those one office concepts through the reimagining of a customer journey. And I think that's really where we start to look at things. So we'll start to look at customer profiles, how that fits in with their end-to-end customer journey, the touch points they have, and the experience they have within those touch points, whether it be CSAT or NPS, of how we measure that. What's then important is then we drill into the next level of detail. So we look at the underlying processes that are supporting those interactions. We look at the applications that support those processes again. And also, increasingly more important is the data that then supports that. So we can then start to understand what data needs to shift between applications, and more importantly, what data needs to go back to the customer to enable them to have a more effective experience.
I'm guessing that this access to data is really what is so important. It's what kind of drives that continuous improvement. So it's not really a one and done kind of approach to digital transformation or what we're trying to achieve here. It's absolutely a continuous improvement as the market, the customers, and the employees' expectations change. Would you concur?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a real key area for us. We're able to understand, what's the term, voice of the customer, but then we also can understand voice of the employee, voice of the robot when we've got automation running, and insights across each of those really drives that continuous improvement, as you mentioned, to help us do more effective, more efficient, and deliver more better experiences to our end users.
And I've seen, I'm guessing, or I've seen that actually the power now of the analytical tools that can in real time analyze conversation and be able to, at that moment, start to advise the agents and start to flag where there could be vulnerability issues, so on and so forth, is really starting to drive the game forward to becoming more proactive rather than reactive to those kind of customer activities.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. It's a real game changer for us. We can do real-time voice transcription. That can lead to understanding of intent from customers, which can then plug into recommended solutions. So we're able to advise and guide our assistants, our associates, sorry, for help to enable them to provide the best possible responses. We're able to then provide them with offline transactions and proactive help so that they can proactively go to their customers with issues. And that the enablement and the insights from that data really is starting to change the way that we interact with our customers.
That's great. And, I guess from what we've been talking about, it can be sometimes seem to be a little bit daunting, all these things that need to be considered or can be considered as part of that digital transformation within the front office or more broadly across an organization. And I'm guessing that age-old mantra of think big, start small, scale fast still applies in this exact same scenario. Where in your experience, and maybe you can provide some insight, where and how should organizations really start down that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. The old mantra that you mentioned rings just as true now as it always has done. So I think it's very important you have both a top-down approach where we have senior buy-in, establishing the vision of what is expected from the transformation, what we're going to achieve from that transformation. That helps with the engagement of the wider company to make sure that we start to address those really important topics of change management and the management of change. And then the other bit is then a clear understanding of the goals and how we're going to achieve, how we're going to monitor and manage that transformation as we go along. But I think that's only half of the problem. The other bit is the bottom up. So I think that really is where we can start to drive small incremental benefits that will not only reinforce that change management perspective across the wider organization, but can fund and fuel further transformation by releasing funds and generating benefits to then drive further transformation as we go along.
That's great. Well, I think we're almost out of time. Is there any last thoughts you'd like to leave us with, Richard?
I think really it's just that message of convergence, and that's not only from convergence from a technology perspective, but then also bringing the sort of three pillars of people, process, and technology together. And that really is where we're focused on bringing a suite of solutions that are focused on driving end customer experience and employee experience, partner and suppliers as well.
Great. Well, thanks, Richard. It's been a really informative session for me, at least, which is good. And I hope our audience found this discussion helpful. And I guess if they'd like to hear more, just to get in touch with us here at Sitel or connect through LinkedIn to yourself, Richard Mitchell, or myself, Mark Dow, and we'd be happy to support them further.
Yep, absolutely.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, I'm Nath. I look after operations for Sitel UK and Ireland. We have around 5,000 associates in the UK. This is part of our global workforce of 160,000 associates, and we deal with around 8 million customer interactions across the globe every day. As with everyone, the last 2 years have been incredibly challenging. COVID has placed a number of challenges in front of us, but also forced us as an industry to really accelerate some of our ways of working and how we approach our labour market and everything that's associated with that. At the start of COVID, we had the same issue as most businesses where we rapidly needed to deploy all of our staff to work at home. Around 80% of Sitel UK and I's workforce was repositioned at home, around 4,000 associates. That was challenging in the sense that Sitel, as a global business, operated significant work at home deployments in North America and Germany. However, in the UK, we hadn't embraced work at home. It wasn't something that we'd ever tried to deploy. And with that caused the challenges of having to create the infrastructure in the UK, having to deploy work at home. We moved around 4,000 associates home in around 7 days, okay? And even being a global business, that the challenges that come with that were significant. Shipping IT equipment, getting people set up for virtual ways of working, creating the infrastructure on our servers, and all that good stuff that lots of other companies would have had to deal with. I think in the BPO, the outsourcing world, we had to move at a quicker pace, because not only is it impacting our people, but it's also impacting our customers. With work at home and how we embraced that through the first year of COVID was very interesting. It opened up an entirely new recruitment market for us for our Q4 peaks. We start our Q4 planning in around April of every year, and that's to allow us enough time to plan our recruitment, all the good things around infrastructure, locations, work at home. And you know, we were expected to have a very challenging Q4 in the first year of COVID. However, what that turned into being was actually probably one of the easiest peaks we've ever delivered. We'd learned a lot around work at home in the first half of the year, sort of from April onwards. And actually what we found is we opened this recruitment market that we'd never seen before. So it wasn't in the vicinity of one of our sites. We really did open up a UK recruitment market. At the same time, we were also asked to support with some of the COVID support, and we had to rapidly employ an additional 8,000 associates in the UK on a purely work at home basis. Using new infrastructures and new technologies that allowed us to scale at that pace. We employed and had go live 8,000 people in 2 weeks. This was on top of the challenge of already sending our existing workforce to home. So we really learned in the first year of COVID, I think, everything there is to know about work at home and that work from anywhere deployment. Going into year 2 of COVID, as I said, we'd embraced work from anywhere. We'd really understood what the challenges that came with work from anywhere, what the costs were, what it meant for infrastructure, what it meant for our people, what it meant for supporting them. However, in the second half of last year, again, as everyone did, we felt the strains on the recruitment market and the labour pools in the UK. We went from having a really solid recruitment pipeline to actually it completely drying up to the point where we were struggling to fill classes and groups. Because of that, we had to really react. So we had our new ways of working, which sat around work from anywhere. We knew that wasn't going to go away. We knew that we would have a challenge over the coming months to readdress our brick and mortar footprint. However, that said, some of our clients, and I would say some of our more technical clients, some that require more in-depth learning programs, that require more agent support, we couldn't train those advisors from home. We tried it, it wasn't as successful as it could have been, so we made the decision that instead of to embrace both models, both brick and mortar and work from anywhere, that we would set up a number of pop-ups across the UK. So these were in managed service buildings or short lease buildings. We would find the location, we used the data that we gained from the COVID support and the huge work from anywhere employee base we had on what our best areas to recruit would be in. We set up a pop-up location, and we did this in 7 locations across the UK. We set up a pop-up building. We had from signing the contracts to bringing the advisors in for training. It was approximately around 2 weeks per building. Each location we probably pushed around 100 to 150 people through. That's allowing them to train, and a lot of those more in-depth programs, 3-4 weeks training. And then we would have them live on the floor in those pop-up locations for 3 or 4 weeks, where they would then go to work from anywhere or work from home and join that program. That solved a huge element of the recruitment challenge we had, because we were effectively impact sourcing in a way, that we were going into locations that have probably significantly lower employment levels. We were hitting different demographics of people that we hadn't experienced before, some that required more support, some that required less support. It was a really positive experience being able to employ people in those areas. And actually what we've seen through doing that is greater longevity, lower attrition levels, lower absence levels, and actually a greater commitment to the roles. So that's the positive side of what we did. I think now we are seeing really good recovery in the recruitment market. We're seeing really more buoyant application rates. We're seeing less churn in our standard team. I would love to sit here and say that everyone stays forever, but our churn rates in Q4 last year did go up significantly. I feel that's come back under control. We've enabled different ways of working to make that work better. So we've talked a lot about there what COVID had impacts with us and how that impacted us. Now I'm going to talk about what that actually meant in reality to our business plan and how we approach forwards and what this really means for Sitel globally and in the UK and Ireland. So the first challenge is that it's work from anywhere is great, but if you've still got the number of brick and mortar locations that we've got at the same scale, our fixed cost is still significant. And on top of that, we have the additional costs that come with the work from home, work from anywhere model. We've made a conscious decision to start reducing our brick and mortar footprint, but in a slightly different way than we've seen in other businesses. We've decided to keep all of our physical locations, but reduce the size of them. So in a number of our locations at the end of last year and going into this year and going into next year, we are roughly taking out, as it comes up and as time allows, we're taking around 50% of the size of those locations out, and we're converting them into a concept we have called Max Hubs. What Max Hubs are for Sitel are locations where we can rotate staff in and out of those locations. They will support the staff that are unable to work from anywhere. For staff that can work from anywhere, we look to rotate the advising for around somewhere between 20 to 25% of their working time in a month will be spent on site. We uplift their shrinkage time when they're on site so they can have lots of face-to-face coaching, contact, team meetings, can all be done, and they can share experiences and do all the good things that we can do whilst they're in the physical location. For the periods of time that they're at home, we lower those shrinkage levels so it's more work time, clearly with regular touch points, coaching development, quality assessment, all the good things we would do, but slightly less to allow for that more offline time in office. Some of the challenges that work around that model is obviously things take time. So it's not as simple as me turning around to our teams tomorrow and saying, right guys, I need 50% of all our locations gone. I want everyone working at home. I want all this great recruitment stuff. We've had to go through a significant program of changing our recruitment and onboarding and our training, and we're still in that process today. We have over 200 clients across the UK, and working through those clients, making their training programs fit for purpose to be able to train virtually or in our hub locations. Our recruitment and onboarding, we found that as a significant challenge over the last 2 years, and we've embraced lots of new technologies. We use some software called Harvard as part of the assessment process, which allows us, it really imitates where the face-to-face interview, those key indicators that you'd pick up through that assessing someone on a face-to-face level. We use that as well as still assessing people, still putting them through assessments with people, but we use that at an early point, not to necessarily knock people out of the process, but to understand where they are at within all those things: typing, speaking, speech analytics, being able to deal with problems, resilience, all those things we look for in this environment for people to be able to come through. We've found that we now need to really invest in people. That's what we've learned through work from anywhere. It's not as simple as just sending someone home. We've actually found that the amount of time that people need when they're work from home is actually greater than what they need in the office. The example I always give people: if you come into the office to work, you walk past your team manager says hello. If you've got a quick problem, you probably cover it off in those couple of minutes, or can I have a chat with you later, on those good things. That doesn't happen in the work from home environment. We have to create those experiences. We have to create that time to take someone offline, to be able to have those discussions, to be able to do those nice to do things. We do that via some enhanced shrinkage. We do have to allow a little bit more shrinkage in the work at home environment, but we also then make that available through technology. So we use a number of technologies in the environment now that whether it's be a chat tool, whether there's communities, we have a piece of software called Max Connect. Max Connect basically creates a community for all our people. It allows them to communicate, it allows them to learn more about the company. And we've really had to use a lot of technologies to fill those gaps that you would get from a face-to-face. And I think we are through that journey now. We've got further enhancements that come around training and onboarding that we're rolling out over the next 6 to 12 months. These are allowing people, just making it easier and making it, just generally better for people. The other program we focus on massively, and you've heard me use the concept a few times, is Max. So Max is a really important part of what Sitel do. It's my agent experience, associate experience, should I say. And what that is for us is, this is our focus on people. We recognise that people are the most important part to what makes our organisation work, what works for our clients, what works for our shareholders, and what works for us as a team. So we invest heavily in that. The Max programs that we do, this is everything from being able to collect ideas from people, being able to facilitate those ideas, to forums, through to our Max Hub concept, which is around creating buildings for our people, you know, what areas, different areas and exposure to have when they're in that building, you know, really focused on that. But really what Max is for us is pulling all of our people together and making sure that we never lose focus on our people, and we constantly evolve to work around our people. That's better for us as a business, and it's better for the clients we support. So to end my video is really talking about where do we go next. So for Sitel, our main focus is our technologies, whether this is through CX technologies for our clients, technologies for our people, and technologies that really make us more efficient as a business. So we're not so focused anymore on deflection. Deflection has become a piece now. It's more the being everything to everyone everywhere. So that's our people, but also our clients and their customers, and making sure that we utilize technologies in a way that help all those things either grow for our customers. So it could be growth through sales, it could be dealing with more customers, supporting more customers, or from a people perspective, allowing us just to do more for them without generating loads of costs by using those technologies and making things more streamlined. We're going to continue to reduce the size of our brick and mortar footprint, but as I said earlier, using the Max Hub concept, potentially open up in more locations but with smaller sized buildings. We are going to continue with work from anywhere, and really embrace that more and more and more as time goes on. And you know, ultimately it's that technology and work from anywhere approach that is our main focus. So I hope some of that's been useful for anyone, and if anyone's got any questions, reach out to any of the Sitel team and they're happy to have these discussions.